front of the other. Same old food, the same old drive. I need more to feel alive. Lounging in the park 5 days a week. Lows of Mulkin Vine and the grooves for a leak. Change would do me good. Stop knocking on wood. Change would do me fine. I'm heading on down the line. Heating up last nights in the microwave. Doing the laundry, cleaning up like a slave. Same old food, the same old drive. I need more to feel alive. A change would do me good. I'll stop knocking on wood. A change would do me fine. I'm heading on down the line. Hey, I really wanna, you know I need a Life is not for the faint of heart. Gotta get it together with a brand new start. The clock is ticking and the time is fast. Looking to the future, won't live in the past. Lounging in the park 5 days a week. My lows are multiplying and my grooves from a leak. A change would do me good. Stop knocking on wood. A change would do me fine. I'm heading on down the line. A change would do me good. I'll stop knocking on wood, and the change would do me fine. I'm heading on down the line. Hey, hey, hey. I'ma really need a hey, hey. I'm ready for a hey,
Hey, everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio. We're excited to have T-Bear on the show. His new album is out now. It's called The Way of the World, and it is out through Quarto Valley Records. I swear every time we have them on the show, Quarto Valley Records musicians, I just get excited because they really do pick good musicians to do albums with. And this album is fantastic. The first single out is called A Change Will Do Me Good. It's got that kind of Bo Diddley jam that you're going to love. But I encourage you to go to T-Bear's website. It's tbear.rocks, and you can go get the album everywhere. So welcome, T-Bear. Where are you? You're in LA, right?
I'm in
Today,
Los
or-
Angeles today. Yes.
Today, is it always, or do you have like
No,
a
I
home
live,
base?
I live in Los Angeles, and I just got back from the East Coast, and I'll be on the road again this coming week. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Are you still touring with Walter Trout, or is this with
I
your
am
own band?
I am still in Walter's band. He's over in Europe right now doing some shows. He'll be back, and I'll start touring with him again
Sweet.
next month. Yeah.
Well, this album, I love it because you've got a little bit of everything in it, and I think it's going to appeal to everyone, just the different vibes of it. But there's even the softer, nicer, kind of calmer tunes, you have an edge of grit about you. Like, I've been around the block grit. And then there's always the rhythm part. And I wonder about that, with you being in keys, there's like you're significant on rhythm with a nice groove to it. And I wonder about it in regards to your background, as childhood between New York City and then also living in the Caribbean, if that groove part and the rhythm comes from that. And the groove and the grit, you've got both. It's like Lady Justice sitting there.
A double G thing.
Yeah. I think so. I was just listening to it, I kept going, like, that's what it's got. It's got the grit. It's like, I've been around. It's like, it's honest.
Well, that's what I want to be known for is authentic, genuine, and honest. And growing up in the Caribbean, I was really lucky because my parents loved music and they used to take me to nightclubs and anywhere there was kind of, something happening. So I got brought up on Cuban music and on,
Ah,
yeah, because I lived in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And so
okay.
a lot of the Cuban acts would come through Puerto Rico. So I got brought up on Cuban, I got brought up on Calypso, I got brought up on Mento, which was before reggae. And that's and I lived in Port-au-Prince, Haiti for a while, so I got a lot of
Okay.
the Creole music. Um,
Okay.
and so I love that. I really love that.
I think people listening, if they're for the first time, may even think it's got like a Dr. John kind of New Orleans vibe to it as well. And that's probably that background of yours. To me, it just feels like home. I grew up in Africa, so like to me, there was this vibe to it. And I was like, this is my music, man. This is totally it. And it's
Totally
and
it.
there is an authenticity. Isn't it weird? Like when you think about island life, it's very chilled out, but at the same time, there's no beating around the bush. There's
And
no, I had
that's
to watch
funny.
my words there.
Yeah, and that's funny because one of my favorite African bands was a band called Osabisa.
Uh-huh. Where from what part?
They're from Ghana, and
Okay. Oh.
and yeah, and I fell into their purview in 1970 something. That's when they were
Mm.
happening. They were kind of discovered by some British rock and roll producer or something. But that's the thing. World music is fabulous. And
Mm.
you mentioned Mac Rabenak, Dr. John, and I knew Mac, and I
Oh,
loved
wow.
him, and my influences were Dr. John. My main influence was Leon Russell,
Oh, God,
and
yes.
and then Nicky Hopkins. I love
Mm.
those guys, and I learned how to play in that flavor. I took a lot of
Mm.
T-Bear stuff and sprinkled it in with Leon Russell and Dr. John and Nicky Hopkins. And to this day, I've got some really great producers that use me on sessions, and they say because they can't find anybody that plays like Nicky Hopkins and Leon Russell. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Well,
Glad you,
it's the rhythm thing. There's this rhythm thing where a lot of people are like, we're playing keys, but you actually are like a drummer within the keys and
well, that's
setting the
because I
tone.
also play percussion. So, I
Oh, okay. That's what's going on.
I kind of whack the
Yeah.
keyboard a little. Yeah.
What got you starting off in the keys? Did you ever play guitar, or was it first like this, or was percussion first, or?
No, I actually just really, kind of started off on percussion and
Mm.
then kind of graduated to keys because my parents got a piano. And I found that the piano was a lot like playing percussion. You played a lot of 16th notes, you got real
Hmm.
fast on things and some eights and things like that. So one hand was doing something, the other hand was doing another tempo, and when you started to mix them up together and add in some interesting changes, it's very cool. It's a very cool instrument.
And you can play the bass too. That's the other
Oh,
part of it.
absolutely,
Uh, I
absolutely.
think that's what adds to that vibe, and the rhythm part is adding the bass. Do you ever play organs, like where you get to really do the foot pedal work?
Yeah, I can do it. I'm much better. I'm a pretty good Hammond player. That's what I play a
Mm.
lot with Walter Trout.
Okay.
I play B3 a lot. When piano players graduate over to organ, they play it like they're a piano player. The organ is a completely different
It
instrument,
is.
and that foot pedal thing. It took me a while, but I actually can do it. So it's kind of an interesting thing. You're kind of comping, and then your feet are kind of moving.
And to be able to do both at the same time, it's like, playing bass and singing or drums and singing. I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. That's not happening with me. I'm blonde. It's not, well, I used to be blonde apparently at some point in my life, but it's not happening, so it's an interesting thing. I remember, we think Whiter Shade of Pale, like I think the bass notes, that song would never exist without that bass in there. It just wouldn't be what it is without that bass.
And what a band that was,
God.
I actually recorded one of their songs, and it'll probably come out on the next album. It didn't
Sweet.
it didn't make this album because, I had a problem of abundance on this record. I recorded Salty Dog,
Oh,
which is a really great Procol Harum song. And I've been into the Procol Harum, since I heard Whiter Shade of Pale. I mean, that just,
what is it about that song?
that
Like,
set the bar.
I
Yeah.
always said if I was going to
I
get
mean,
married,
the
I would do
lyrics
that.
mean,
Yeah.
the lyrics mean nothing, but it's the melody and the
And that
changes
bass.
that are everything. I have a song on the new album, The Way of the World. It's called, let's see here, Before the Fall. Let's call on that one. See, every song that I did on this album is an homage to somebody and something. So Before the Fall was kind of my homage to mashed up Mozart and Brian Wilson with a slight touch of Amy Winehouse and her and some of her vibe. And then of course you mentioned A Change Will Do You Good. That went to #1 in Europe, over in the Netherlands, in the hit 100 because of the Bo Diddley beat.
Yeah.
Nobody done a Bo Diddley beat in a long time. And I went, wow,
it's got to keep going. That train needs to keep rolling. It does. It's like, and you can't, as soon as you hear it, you feel good. And that's what I was saying. Like, I think we weren't recording yet, but to me, the album is like the perfect road trip album. And listeners know this about me. It's like, if it's a road trip album, that's a good album. And you should be able to let it keep looping because you need to keep going. And I'm like one that I like to put the actual album in. Like, that's why I still have my old car, because she has a CD player. And if she could have an actual vinyl, I'd do it too. But anyway, but that to me, like that just sets you off. But The Way of the World, that's also just really poignant for now. These times are, I mean, it's because you kind of did this during the pandemic, right? This was one of those.
I wrote a lot of these songs during the pandemic. I was so locked in to not being able to go out. And I'll tell you the tale about that. That I was writing almost a song a day. And
wow.
Yeah, because I couldn't watch TV 12 hours a day. And and I write a lot of short stories. I'm kind of an author as well. And most of my songs, I would say 9 out of 10 start as lyrics or poems or short stories. A Change Will Do Me Good is really my homage to Bob Dylan, because what would Bob say at a time like this? Jewel is not about the singer Jewel.
No, I saw that. I was like, it's not.
Somebody
and
asked
Red Harvest. I wanted to go to Red Harvest, the bonus track, because I'm one of those people that will always, like, as soon as there's a bonus track, I'll skip everything and go right there, just because I don't know why it is, but you read the book backwards, like I'm stupid. But I like Red Harvest a lot.
Red Harvest is a poem I wrote the second week of the Ukrainian invasion by Russia. I was watching CNN, and I was seeing all this terrible stuff go down. And the Ukraine is an area. Yeah, the Ukraine is an area of agricultural. It's a very bountiful agricultural country. They have grain, they have wheat, they have sunflower. I mean, thousands of fields of sunflowers, and make sunflower oil and things like that. And I thought to myself, with all this going on and all this terrible war and all this carnage, this is going to be a red harvest next year. It's not going to be the normal harvest. So I called up the owner of Quarto Valley Records, Bruce, and I said, hey, I want to do something for the Ukrainian people. See, my background is my father was born in Poland, in Warsaw.
Okay.
Coming through from Kiev. That's where the family lived.
Oh, yeah.
So I had kind of DNA in that, and a little bit of DNA in that game. And I wanted to do something for the Ukrainian Red Cross. So I said, let's record something, let's put it out on YouTube, and let's put a link to the Ukrainian Red Cross and also the World Kitchen, because they're feeding everybody in Warsaw and at the border. And I saw women and children and, older women, and they're all leaving on buses and trains, and the men had to stay behind because they were conscripted into the army. And so it was a very sad thing. And so Bruce said, okay, let's do that. And I got a hold of Tony Braunagel, the guy that produced this album and the last album, and Laurence Juber, who co-produced this new album, and Leland Sklar. And I got a hold of Leland, and he's a buddy of mine, and a couple of other people, actually Ukrainian, Russian violinist. And we went in the studio, cut the track. I called. I used to play with Crosby, Stills and Nash, so I'm pretty good friends with those guys. And I called David Crosby up, and I said, Cros, I need you to sing on this. I'd like you to sing on this thing called Red Harvest. He said, all right, send it to me. And the next day I called him and said, what do you think? He says, well, I haven't gotten to it yet. I said, okay, we got to get this thing out. And he said, well, give me about a week because I'm doing something right now. So, and by coincidence, I get a call that night from a guy called Paul. And I thought it was my lawyer. I have a British lawyer called Paul Quinn. And this guy goes, hey, it's Paul. I want to sing on your record. And I said,
Well, good for you.
I said, yeah, good. You're a lawyer. Stick to the facts, Jack. Singer. He says, no, it's Paul Rogers. I want to sing on your record.
Oh,
I want to sing on this. And apparently Paul's wife is Ukrainian. So I and Bruce Quarto sent it to Paul, who's also done some stuff on his label. So I said, done. I mean, when Paul Rogers calls you and says he wants to, sing with you, it's a done deal. Because I was a huge Free fan, and I loved Bad.
I'm Free is like, it is. It is. I mean, you can't beat even the name.
No.
No.
So
So
that's how it happened. And Crosby missed the boat. I'm sorry to say, God rest his soul, but
Yeah, I know. But isn't that wild when you think about this going through, but it ends up a bonus track. That to me is like, it's like there's something always special about the bonus track. Why does it get called a bonus track anyway? Because it should be there, but it is almost like all of us that are the B-side freaks go to the bonus track. Is that what it is? It's the B.
Absolutely.
It's the B-side. And
Absolutely.
the B-side is where you need to go.
Yeah, because when Tony Braunagel and Laurence Juber said, okay, we're finished, here are the 12 songs, I went, well, Red Harvest we put out, during the, the downtime with the COVID thing. I said, we got to stick that on this record. Well, no, you're not going to get mechanical license fees or this, that, and the other thing. It's only 12. But I said, no. This is the B-side that needs to be heard.
Oh, I love that. Well, it's so sad. I mean, Ukraine, what's happening in Israel and Palestine. I mean, the world, the way of the world, right?
The way of the world, yeah.
It is. I mean, that's a hell of a track. But I think, like I said at the beginning, when you listen to this album, you just start to soak into it. It's nostalgic, but fresh at the same time. And then I think
I wanted it to be retro. It's really got a retro sound, but it's done in a very modern way. We cut this record, the lion's share of it, I would say 85 or 90% of it, at Laurence Juber's house. And Laurence Juber, the co-producer of this album, was also the guitar player that was in Wings. So he played with McCartney for a long time, and he's one of the best guitar players in the business. And I would go over to his house, I would bring a keyboard, I would sit down, we put a click track on and a mic, I'd sing these songs to the click track. We'd send it over to Tony Braunagel house. He had his drums set up in his living room. He recorded in his living room. So now we had
Wow.
piano and drums. We'd go back and send it back to Laurence. Laurence would put the guitars on it. We'd send it on over to a bass player that we wanted on the track. It went to his house. So this was all recorded basically at home, at everyone's home. And it was done really, really well.
That's maybe gives that extra comfort feel when people are at home and they're in their own zone. I think there's something, I mean, it's cool to go in the studio, right? And then even just do it all like together as one. But if you're doing it from home, there's kind of a relaxed vibe on it. I
Very.
wonder about that.
There was no time constraints. We had, a year and a half to do it. We just did it when we did it. We cut a lot more tracks. We did a lot more tracks than are on this right now. And two of the songs, actually, we went in the studio over at JJ Blair's, the fellow that mixed this. One's called Breathe and the other one's called Jewel. And we did those actually live, one take vocal. What you hear is what you get. Yeah.
Wow. So what's next? Are you doing another album? Are you going to, I know you're touring with Walter Trout, but are you going to take time to do like any shows with this album? Because it would be, I know you've got all these different people involved, which is always hard to, herd the cats, but it would be pretty epic to hear the album live.
I have a band with Laurence, Tony, and Ricky Cortez. Ricky Cortez was in John Mayall's band. He's the bass player.
Right.
And of course, Tony Braunagel, who produced my album before this called Fresh Pair Tracks, and this one, he plays drums. And Tony was with Robert Cray, Bonnie Raitt, Taj Mahal, and then Laurence. We have a band where we play in and around LA. We're going to probably take it, on the road. We're playing in LA, 2 shows, one at a place called the Right Off Room and the other one called the Mint. That's big, we'll play the Mint in June and the Right Off Room this month. And I'm also, let's see, I'm going to be on the 17th of this month, opening for Mike Zito at World Records in Bakersfield. And then I will go on the road with Walter, and Walter features me, and I get to do some things too.
Oh, sweet. I think though, going to Europe with this album would be badass.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, the single,
seriously,
the single went to #1 in Europe on Easter Sunday. So
yeah, that makes sense. I think people would appreciate it because they appreciate Americana and roots and rock and
they're rabid.
blues.
They're rabid for it. I mean, they love it. I had a whole career a long time ago, and I took a hiatus for 25 years. And, I have like 6 or 7 solo albums, and people still know me in Europe. And, I did very, very well over there. Took the hiatus, and then I came back, remarried somebody who said, it's time for you to get back in the business. And she nagged me. Yeah, she nagged me for
smart lady.
Yeah. She nagged me for 2 years, and I went in the studio. Robby Krieger, the guitar player from the Doors, let me a studio for better part of a year and a half, and we made a record called this, Fresh Bear.
Yes, I like that.
And unfortunately, my wife Nina was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer towards the end of the record, and she passed away just before it came out. But she said to me, and she wrote this note, she said, finish the record, go on tour, never cancel another gig, live your best life, fall in love again, be happy. So I do that, and I honor her. I dedicated Fresh Bear Tracks to her. And then I made, The Way of the World. And now I'm kind of halfway through, maybe 3/4 of the way through writing the songs for the next album.
Sweet.
Which is going to be called The Book of Secrets.
Oh,
yeah. And I have a song called The Book of Secrets, and it's the ballad of J.D. Salinger, the guy that wrote, The Catcher in the Rye. And the next song is No Reservations, and it's a song about Anthony Bourdain. And I have people like that.
Oh.
And because
He's a hell of an author too, man.
yeah,
Bourdain,
you know where the Book of Secrets is, right?
they're catching the right up there. Oh,
That's where your Book of Secrets
they're
is.
crazy. Yeah, we all have them.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
what I'm dealing with.
skeletons.
That's what I'm dealing with for the next album.
So do you read a lot? I know you said you write. It sounds like you're a reader.
I write. I mean, I'll give you an example of writing. A quick one. Let's see. Let's pick one on here. Walter Mitty's Glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a short story that I wrote about a guy that goes into an antique barn, where we sell antiques, and they have all these kiosks and things. And he goes up to one of the kiosks in there, and they got nothing but glasses, all these retro glasses and antique glasses. And he takes the glasses and he puts one on and he looks in the mirror and he goes, no. He grabs another glass and he puts it on and he goes, there's somebody else looking back at him. He's handsome. He's got a tan. His hair is perfect. I mean, he's looking and he's going, holy
Is it
crap,
Rosie?
who is that? Who is that guy? And so he takes the glasses off, and it's him again, and it's based on the story of Walter Mitty. I don't know if you know the story of Walter Mitty.
Mm-mm.
Walter Mitty was a guy that, he basically daydreamed all the time. He daydreamed himself into these great situations where he saved people, and he did things that were a hero would do.
Yeah.
Danny Kaye did a movie called Walter Mitty in the 60s. Ben Stiller did one about 8 years ago with Kristen Wiig and Sean Penn called Walter Mitty. And it's all about this guy
Wow.
that's,
I'm behind on
Yeah.
the Walters.
right.
Wow.
Walter Mitty.
I need to go get into him now. Yeah.
And so he puts these glasses on as a different person looking back at him. He says to the guy that runs the place, says, where'd you get these glasses? He says, a guy comes in, he brings a box of glasses. We buy them every month. He said, well, whose glasses are these? I mean, I put them on and I look different because there's a different person looking back at him in the mirror. And he looks at him and it says, property of Walter Mitty right on the arm of the glasses. So that's basically the short story.
That's cool.
Puts these glasses on, goes out, and he's now a different person.
That's cool.
That's what Walter Mitty is about.
It's like everybody's got a little secret key,
Absolutely.
to something else. I love that. And the upstairs, I mean, it's like, yeah, so you think it's the cat in the hat, but it's really a book of secrets up there, right? it's really it.
So to speak, yeah, I guess.
I know. I was just looking at your hat. I'm like, you got the cat in the hat. I love it. But I love that you're writing so much. I mean, because we're in this era of AI where, things are just being, I just feel like even podcasting, people are just having these AI voices do things, which is insane to me. And I feel like, just even what we're doing, it's like, this is real. Music is real. I know we have tools in writing to check grammar, but it can't really proofread what was meant to be. You know what I mean? So there's
I don't mind progress, and AI is probably pretty good for certain things, but
right.
Yeah,
but still
there's other things that I just want to be a part of, and things that give me goosebumps and make me really
real,
affect me emotionally is what I want to do. I'm writing one of the last songs that I'm going to be writing for the album, and hopefully it'll go on the album, is called Henry, the Greatest Show on Earth. And Henry is a story that I wrote about a kid that's 11 years old that runs away from home in 1951 in Homestead, Florida. And he gets on a train in the middle of the night because his mother is deceased. He has no brothers and sisters. His father's a terrible alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And kind of whacks him around and abuses him verbally. And he gets on the train because he wants to run away from home. And the next morning, the train stops. He gets off the train. That he only has enough money to go that far. And it's kind of dark. It's like sun hasn't come up yet. And this massive shape goes by him. Thud, 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 thud. And another massive shape goes by him. Thud,
I like it.
Thud. And a third massive shape goes by him. and the sun's starting to come up, and he can now see, and he looks across the street, and it says on a banner, "Winter home of the greatest show on earth, Barnum and Bailey's Circus," and Ringling Brothers Circus. And he's arrived at the circus, and a woman standing there in front of a tent and with a kind of cook apron. She says, "I saw you get off the train. Why don't you come over here and I'll feed you?" And he walks over there, and she says, "I'm going to feed you if you help me clean up after." He says, "Yes, ma'am." It's 1951. And she says, "So what's your name?" And he says, "I can't tell you." And she says, "Well, I'm not going to call you, hey, kid. I'm going to call you Henry." And he says, "Well, why Henry?" She says, "Because in the circus, we speak in code. And Henry is the code for runaway." So from that moment on, his real name is Travis Dupree. From that moment on, Travis becomes Henry from 1951 to 2017.
Wow.
It's the last show of Ringling Brothers ever done in the world. It's a true story. That was the last show of 2017. And we follow his arc throughout his life in the circus. So I wrote 11 pages of lyrics, and it's 18 minutes of music.
Damn.
And I also
That's like a little songella, like a novella, like a songella.
Yeah. And I'm going to
I love this.
hopefully make it into a animation.
I was going to say, like, do a movie thing. This is epic. There is a guy out of Florida called Brian Tribble. He's an incredible folk picker. And he did an album called Chosen, and the whole thing is like a play, and it's a musical play, and it is amazing. He's telling the stories of Florida and the lost Florida. So when you think about Homestead and the Everglades, where, Henry was, I mean, that's a freaky area, and Florida's got some weird stuff going on with weird roadside stuff. I mean, it does.
A lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
They've got that. So
I also landed there as a kid, and so
oh yeah.
I knew about Florida pretty well.
Florida's well. And Lee Marvin, he left he's got a similar story. His family was messed up, and he ended up on his own hunting and fishing in the Everglades swamps to survive as a kid, and that's how he ended up in the military. Later an actor, as we all know him. But it's just wild, these stories, how
it's funny because
they sound grand and fanciful, but a lot of that stuff is real.
Yeah, I knew a lot about Lee Marvin. He became later in his life, his hobby was fishing, and he'd fish all around the world, and he'd go to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and fish black marlin, and he loved fishing because that's the way he grew up in Florida, fishing.
I got into him over military history that we do a show on, and then he used to hang out with this artist Ted DeGrazia in Tucson, Arizona. Ted DeGrazia is like the Renaissance man. Also wrote all these like crazy stories as though he was, Father. I'm not going to say Father Font, Padre Kino, that kind of same story as Father Font, that went through Mexico through the Southwest, and he was into the Tohono O'odham Nation of the Southwest of Tucson and the Mexican people, and he was like an understudy for Jose Orozco and also Diego Rivera out in Mexico City, and did all these murals. And just this, if you go to Tucson, you need to go to DeGrazia Gallery in the Sun. You let me know. I'll hook you up there, because this guy was this Renaissance artist and did everything, became the most reproduced artist in the world, much to every art snobs, annoyance. And but Lee Marvin used to go to his studio and drink Chivas Regal with him and get drunk all the time when he went to Tucson. So that's my roundabout story about DeGrazia. But yeah, Lee Marvin, he lived in Tucson, went to Tucson because of the studios, So yeah, that's how that all worked. So I'm glad you got a new album coming out, more music, more touring. So yeah, keep us posted. You got to come back. But before you go, I do want to ask you.
Sure.
Carly Simon, being a road manager for her, how was that? Because I heard and read that she has stage fright to keep that train rolling.
She had terrible stage fright, and she was a lovely lady. I knew that I took the job as a roadie because I wanted to be close to music, as I was
Yeah.
coming up. I would do anything, anywhere to be close to musicians. And, I figured that was a good way for me to learn about it. And I'll never forget being on the road with her on that tour, flying into Atlanta to play a show in Atlanta, and being in the car. And it was the perfect day. It was just nothing but blue skies.
Hmm.
Temperature was like, I don't know, 74, 75. Wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. We turned on the radio in the car, and it was the debut of somebody put on Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Browne.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I listened to that going into Atlanta, and I said, this is where I want to be the rest of my life. And I want to go on tour, and I want to play shows. And I didn't get to play with Carly. I got to, be a roadie, or her road manager. And I learned a lot about the road and touring and everything. But she had a lot of stage fright. Have to get behind her, give her a little shove, get her out on stage.
Yeah.
I knew her and James Taylor very, very well. When they'd go off somewhere, I was their dog sitter.
That's what I do as I travel. We take care of dogs.
Yeah.
Dogs
They
bark.
had a dog called Smee from,
When do you enjoy traveling as a musician? Is that part of it as well as just being
I
somewhat
liked
different?
it. I liked it when I was younger. Now that I'm getting older, it's sort of takes a toll on you, because
Yeah.
I when I'm on the road with Walter, it's hard. It's hard work. I mean, we play 5 or 6 nights a week. So you're in a different hotel every single night, and you're traveling every single day to get there. So
Yeah.
it's and it's not Learjet travel, it's not, multi-million-dollar tour bus.
It's doing your underwear in the sink travel and getting the hair dryer to dry them out.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
I know. I travel full time.
And that's eating all
It's
that
brutal.
really, really good, healthy food at a truck stop.
Oh, don't start me on that. Oh, you know what? I love truck stops. I absolutely love truck stops. We love and rest areas because
Well, I like
it's some of the
Buc-ee's. I'm become a
Buc-ee's. You did not just bring up Buc-ee's. Our friend.
Yes, I did.
You brought up Buc-ee's. Our friend Steve and
Buc-ee's.
Karen. Oh my God, they're gonna crack up because we have to send each other photos. Now, have you been? You like things like that? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Now, have you toured through Missouri at all?
A little bit.
Okay. Did you ever? There was a big Buc-ee's sign, like as you're getting into this area, and then all of a sudden the Buc-ee's goes away for billboards. Because I love the Buc-ee's billboards are cool, right? They're fun. That's like, I think they took a good example off of Route 66 kind of stuff, right?
Sure,
And
absolutely.
they did all that. But then in Missouri, it says there's all of a sudden it goes to come to Uranus. We have the best chocolate fudge ever is in Uranus. And there really is a Uranus fudge factory in Missouri. And I have not been, but there's these big billboards.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to look.
Buc-ee's to Google it when you're done with this. I'm not kidding you.
I will.
Just type in Uranus Fudge Factory, Missouri. I'm not lying. And I'm still like a child. It's hysterical, but it's like the Willy Wonka of silliness, but they do have fudge. So next we're going to Missouri in a few weeks, and I will definitely go, and I have to.
Uranus Fudge Factory.
It is. It says the best fudge comes from Uranus. That's what
the best.
I'm sorry, it's childish. I didn't make it up, but
that's really funny.
And if you go on there, you're gonna get their website is hysterical. I mean, who doesn't want to write stuff like that? Like, I would love to be that for the rest of my life, writing things for Uranus.
Absolutely.
That's classic. But
that's
I don't know, those kind of places, truck stop, all of that stuff is part of it, but it does get at you. I know from being on the road, it does get at you a little bit. But truck stops, rest areas, Buc-ee's, the best places to people watch ever, hands down. That's what we do. I don't know if people
absolutely.
watch.
Yeah, I was in Europe. Well, I was not only in Europe. I traveled with Walter. We hit about 16 countries this year, and we were everywhere from Europe, Great Britain, Scotland to Australia, and And then I just recently came back from New Zealand, and I played a T-Bear gig down in Wellington, and
Sweet.
I'd never been to New Zealand. It was just totally Lord of the Rings where they filmed it. So everything looks like that. And
Did you go to the Hobbit houses? They do have Hobbit houses.
Yeah, they have a whole village in the Hobbit
Mhm.
houses. I mean, they have that stuff everywhere. I mean, Peter Jackson put little Easter eggs all over the island that have something to do with what he did. And like in the Wellington airport, there's two massive eagles that are about 80 feet across, with Gandalf sitting on top of one of them, and they're about 60 feet in the air and they're looking at you like this,
Mhm.
So there's that stuff everywhere. And the truck stopped because I took a bus and made like 21 stops along the island. And I just wanted to see, I wanted to see the South Island and all the places that, that I wanted to go to. And they stopped at a truck stop to, get something to eat. And the truck stop was the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. It was just,
No way.
It was the Hanging Gardens of Babylon with
What?
with a thing. I mean, it was so beautiful, so manicured, so well taken care of. And the food was pretty good. But they had this thing called I think it was called a golden pheasant. And they had like these golden pheasants running around, which is apparently the most beautiful bird in the world.
They are beautiful, like peacocks, and they are golden.
Right,
All-
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just interviewed Rick San Nicholas, and he is a Hawaiian feather master,
Right.
feather worker, and he uses golden pheasants to do his cloaks that historically the Hawaiians and
Sure.
also the Pacific Islanders use. So that's why it all connects back to history. I didn't know they had them running around there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Wow.
So, I mean, you get to see things on the road you normally wouldn't come in contact with. So I'm kind of open to pretty much everything.
So now you've got a song, right? With truck stops, road stops, rest areas. You've got pheasants, fudge, Uranus, and Buc-ee's. Why not? I mean, come on.
Hey,
It's-
we
it's-
stopped at a
it's
Buc-ee's
good.
once. We stopped at a Buc-ee's once, and this young man that was playing with Walter, Walter would bring him out, and he would play a guitar and trade licks with Walter, and we love this guy, and he went and bought a Buc-ee's pajama suit. He looked like the Buc-ee.
Yeah,
They had the head thing. He had it was a onesie,
the whole thing. Oh,
the
no
whole
way.
thing, onesie. And he came out dressed like that when it came time to,
No way. That's funny.
come down.
That's classic. That's Buc-ee's got in trouble though. Somebody in the family was doing some weird recordings or some shenanigans of parties, and I think it was
I don't know
a
about that,
grandson or
yeah.
something, but I don't know. But you got to go to the Buc-ee's if you're in the Southeast, man. Tennessee is Buc-ee land. I love it.
Yeah.
It's always good. Well, thank you so much. It's been fun. I didn't know we were going to go to Buc-ee's and Uranus, but we did, and New Zealand for pheasants.
Well, thanks so much for having me on your show. I look forward
I
to,
can't wait.
maybe we do it with the next record. And
Please do come back anytime. We'll do a Buc-ee's report. I'll let you know, because you know what? I've never been in a Buc-ee's. I've only been in the parking lot of Buc-ee's to send our friend Steve and Karen a photo of here's Buc-ee's, because we carry a sock monkey around.
They got
So-
great food in Buc-ee's.
And
I'll
I
tell
got
you.
yelled at for not going in and getting their fudge bites, but apparently we have competition on fudge, so
All right.
we'll we'll have a fudge off. Well, keep
Oh
us
man,
posted.
Lisa, you're the bomb. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been fun, but please, I can't wait for your next album. I love this, and I can't wait to add it to our. We're gonna have to put it on our road trip music playlist and stuff, because
That would be
it's
great.
good
Yeah,
stuff for sure.
Well, I'm trying to get back into things after taking a hiatus and people learning about me and what I do. And,
Yeah.
and I think it's starting to move in the right direction. So I appreciate
Well, you
that.
definitely have good stuff going up in your head there. Kinds
All
of
right.
creative magic going up there.
Well,
So
thanks, cats and kittens, for letting me be on the show. And remember, if you can't help them, don't hurt them.
that's right. And by the way, Uranus makes the best chocolate fudge ever.
Ever.
Take care.
See ya.
never stop swimming. Riders need a beginning. Cheaters never stop winning. That's the way of the world. Losers need a do-over when they're living in clover. They want it over and over. That's the way of the world. So I fold up my past, put it away in the drawer. Got my back up against the wall once more. Evangelists never stop sinning, and politicians never stop grinning. Bill collectors, they never stop sending, and that's the way of the world. Ex-wives never stop spending, hipsters never stop trending, bankers never stop